Welcome to Mika Amchi Yisrael. Parashat Shemot offers a timeless lesson on legacy. As Bnei Yisrael prepared to leave Mitzrayim, Borei Olam commanded them to borrow gold and silver and clothing from their Egyptian neighbors. Yet the Torah uses a very unusual phrase, v'samtem, place them on your sons and daughters. Why not simply say, trust yourselves? The Holy Shin of a Rebbe Zatzal teaches us that Bnei Yisrael refused to assimilate. They held fast to their names, language, and modest dress, even in the depravity of Mitzrayim. But when they were commanded to take Egyptian garments, they faced a dilemma. These clothes reflected impurity and decadence, unfit for a holy nation. So they reshaped them, refining the garments and elevating their dignity and turning them into symbols of holiness. Yet once they were altered, the clothes no longer fit, hence the reason they were placed on their children. This was more than clothing. It was the transmission of a legacy, a gift of value to the next generation. A fabulous chidush is brought to life in the luminous vision of Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch Zatzal. The winds of enlightenment swept through Germany, threatening to engulf the fragile Orthodox community striving to preserve their religious identity. It was in this turbulent era that arose the great Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch, who stood at the beacon of strength, battling the secular tide and the courage of a lion and the timeless wisdom of generations of Torah and knowledge. Yet, in his early years, he grappled with the uncertainty, still seeking clarity about his true calling in life. And at the tender age of 20, Rav Hirsch journeyed to Mannheim to study in the yeshiva of the great Aruch Laner. During the wagon ride to Mannheim, as he later recounted in a letter, he drifted into a brief slumber and experienced a vision that would change the course of his life. In his dream, he found himself sitting in a beautiful garden. He saw grapevines, weak and fragile, supported by strong branches that held them until their fruit ripened. He thought to himself, at least these vines have support, but what about us? The Jewish people were so weak. How can we survive when the winds of the world threaten to uproot us entirely? Suddenly, he felt a tap on his shoulder. Turning, he saw a majestic man dressed in white, glowing regally, and the man gazed at him with a kindness and says, "Are you seeking support? Come with me. I'll show you what it is." The man gently took his hand and led Reb Hirsch to a park where three groups of people carried sticks. The first group was the elderly, leaning on sturdy canes, worn yet steadfast, fully supporting their weight. The second group were children, holding these thin, fragile sticks, whittled down to twigs that snapped under the slightest pressure. Then the man pointed to a third group, and Reb Hirsch saw an extraordinary sight. These were young men and women walking with upright dignity. Their faces radiated and exuded refinement and nobility. They carried sticks that were polished and resplendent, objects of exquisite craftsmanship. These sticks didn't merely support them, they enhanced the very quality of their lives. These are the wise youth, the man explained. They have seen the ways of their fathers, and they have chosen to walk in their footsteps. They are refined and pure, and they carry sticks that uphold them and bring splendor to their lives. Then came the moment of revelation. The man turned to Reb Hirsch and said, "Do you know what type of sticks they carry?" Reb Hirsch shook his head. "Stretch out your hands," the man said. And when Reb Hirsch obeyed, he felt the weight of a Sefer Torah. "This," the man declared, "is your support. Hold on to it very tightly, and it will guide you throughout your entire life." Ladies and gentlemen, the Torah HaKadosha isn't merely a support system. It is Hayim Atzmo. It's life itself. It transforms fragility into strength, impurity into dignity, and fleeting moments into eternity. It doesn't simply hold us steady. It elevates us to become something far greater. The youth in Rav Hirsch's dream carried sticks that were polished, gleaming, and resplendent, not by chance, but by choice. They chose to walk in the Mesorah of their fathers, and in their hands, those sticks became more than supports. They became their crown, so to speak, their splendor. Reb Hirsch felt the weight of the Torah, not just a book, but the foundation of his life, the anchor of his strength, and the magnificent legacy that he would ultimately pass on. So the question echoes today, eternal, and it is always unrelenting. What lies in our hands? A twig, whittled down by compromise, or the solid, unyielding Torah refined by generations, resplendent with its light and strong enough to uphold eternity. Pause to reflect on this truth. The Torah does not demand perfection. It just asks to be held. And when it is, it transforms us into something eternal. So we stretch out our hands, we feel its weight, and we know that it is our foundation. This is our strength. Certainly, this is our eternity. What's in your hand? Shabbat Shalom and Mivorah.